Hi, my name is Jeff and welcome back to my workshop. Today we're continuing work on our Athearn Blue Box Caboose. We're going to work on the underframe. So we'll start by disassembling it. First step is to remove the screws that hold the weight onto the base of the car. And there's two of them that take care of that. That weight is kind of rusty, so it needs to be sanded and painted. We're also going to remove the trucks so they can be painted and the underbody can be painted. Again, this is just two screws that hold one for each truck that hold them in place on the Athearn cars. The couplers are stuck between the center sill and the body. The center sill gives you your coupler pocket, and the body is your coupler body cover. So we can just pull that off and the couplers come out. With that done, we're going to prep these for painting, get these ready to paint. First thing we're going to do is organize the workbench, and then we'll be able to start working on the weight. I'm just using 180 grit sandpaper to sand the rust off. There's not a lot here and it's all surface rust, so it comes off easily. Get both sides of it and you see we get a nice shiny finish on it. Okay, with that done, I'm just wrapping some tape around a paint stir stick that I got from my local hardware store, and I'm wrapping it so that it is sticky side out. And then I can just stick the weight on. And the underframe with the bottom facing up to be painted. And we'll also put the center sill option back on so it gets painted. It and the coupler boxes get painted and we don't get paint inside the coupler boxes. In my experience, many times this will just hold in place with pressure, but if it doesn't for you, then just insert the screws that hold the weight on to screw those two parts together. For the trucks, I have a couple of pieces of dowel that I sharpened in a pencil sharpener. I just stick those through the holes in the center of the trucks that the screws go through and push them down onto that dowel rod so it holds in place. Now it's ready to paint. After a quick trip outside to paint, I sprayed them with Vallejo model spray paint. Their pans are gray, which gives me a nice grimy black color. We're ready to assemble, so we put the center sill on. We got to insert the couplers into them. This is always a little bit tricky because you got to kind of hold them in place while you get one in and then the other. And you got to make sure you've got them oriented the correct way so that the trip pin is facing down towards the bottom of the car. With those in place, then we can install the weight and the mounting screws. And that'll keep the couplers in place while we continue our work with the trucks. When you're doing this, you want to make sure you get those screws tightened all the way down so that the couplers don't fall out. Your other option would be to remove the coupler boxes from the center sill and then just install Katy couplers, and you'd have to drill and tap holes for those. I find it easier to just use these and play with them. For the trucks, I want to use my truck reaming tool to clean out the journal boxes, but first I want to get rid of the plastic wheel sets that came with the kit. I left them in the trucks while painting to serve as a mask over the journal holes. Then I put my reaming tool in and just give it a twist it around, applying pressure to the journals. And you can feel it cutting on there. You can feel the roughness as it cuts through. Once you stop feeling that and it's turning smoothly, you know you've gotten everything clean, all the flash and molding materials and anything that has built up in there over time in there. Once you do both journals, the journals on both ends, you can insert the wheel sets. I'm using new metal Intermountain wheel sets and give them a quick spin just to make sure that they spin smoothly and easily. That'll ensure a free rolling car. So with the trucks done, it's time to add them back onto the car. If, like on mine, you still have the brake wheels installed, be very careful leaving it upside down as you screw it in. It's easier to kind of hold it. If you have a new kit and you don't have those brake wheels installed, wait to install them till after you've added the truck. Then you can set the floor face down and on your work surface to hold it. You want to make sure one truck has some wobble and spin. The other should just rotate on the axle with very little wobble. And then when I weighed the car and all of its components, I found that we were about an ounce light, so I'm going to add 2 half-ounce weights. These are 5/8 inch steel nuts. I just picked up a box of 100 of them at my hardware store a number of years ago, and I've still got plenty left, so I'm just going to use some Walther's glue. You could use any type of adhesive you like. I know people who use CA, but I find the glue holds much more permanently. Put a thin coat on the nuts and also a thin coat and a ring the size of the nuts on the car floor or on the weight where these will be going. I like to center them over the truck if possible, and so that's what I did. They kind of have the glue wrap forming a circle around the truck mounting screws. This will allow me to get the nut in and centered on the car from left to right so it doesn't tilt, but it won't affect the screws that hold the weight on. So if I need to remove the weights at some point for work or maintenance, I can still do that. I'll also be able to remove the truck. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for our next episode.